we are going to be doing something a little different. We're not just delivering a presentation to you. This is a very special and unique kind of presentation because it is created in CurryPod, which is a platform that uses AI to help you build your slide decks, but they make them extremely interactive with activities. So Heather is definitely going to go into a little bit more depth as to what this entails. We're going to jump in head first, but you as a participant are going to be joining us tonight. So instead of just watching us and listen to us really tell you a bunch of different ideas and things that have come out, which is great. But our goal tonight is that you walk away really being equipped to bring some new, exciting learning to your students, as well as bringing in some of those new tools that have come out. So we'll be talking about that. We'll get started. I'll introduce myself. I'm Jamie Donnelly. Before we get there, I'll come back to that here in a second. I'm Jamie Donnelly, and I am at Jamie Donnelly, but my first and last name is spelled a little bit different. So you should be able to find me if you spell my name correctly on most social channels. I'm also at arvrnedu.com, and I am joining you from East Texas. And then next is Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather Brantley. I am also here in East Texas. I am at heathertech.edu. Heathertech.edu.com is my website. And I am a classroom teacher. I am blessed to be able to have a job where I teach CTE, web communications, and I get to actually teach students about AI. We do a lot of AR and VR in the classroom. So I'm really excited about tonight because the things that we are showing you tonight aren't just things that we are knowledgeable about. They're things that I actually use with my class all the time. The Advent calendar is such an easy way to start your day in your classroom. And after you've done two, the kids are like, hey, are we doing that? So they're ready and excited to learn for the next one the next day. So definitely a little tool for you to start your day with.
And I'm in the midst of putting in the CurryPod link for you right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our first slide and get that information to you. So if you go to curry.live, it will give you a chance to go in and type in that code, which is 276529. So I put that here in the chat.
Hey, Jamie, if you'll click on that join at curry.live, it'll throw a QR code up for some people who might want to do it on a different device. If you are on your computer and you want to join in on your phone, that's a great idea as well. So we love seeing them come in.
Excuse me. So as you are jumping in right now, we'll let you continue to come in. You can see that these are your pretend names. These are your fun names joining in right now. And as you're joining in, you also put in your real name. So this will give us a chance to go back later and kind of look and see the responses that came in. It is absolutely being recorded, so you guys will have access to all of this. As a matter of fact, what's really unique about this too, that we don't normally do, is I'm sharing the CurryPod with you. So if you want to go back and reuse any of this for your own lessons, excuse me, for your own lessons, or for your students to be able to go in and explore, especially the snapshots, this will be available to you guys to go back and reuse. Okay, here we go. All right, so we are also wanting to hear how you are taking this learning and running with it in the future. What ideas you're inspired by. You could certainly put it here in the chat, but we would love for you to post this on social media using the hashtag AI Snapshots. And please tag both of us because it will give us a chance to see that and to be able to reshare that out on our social channels as well. I have been sharing this out since June, created an immersive newspaper called The Reality Times. And anybody that posts on here and shares out, I would love to ship you one of these. So if I see your social posts out there and I see that post out there and we're responding to it, I will probably respond to you and ask you if you already have a newspaper. And if you don't, I'd love to ship that out. And you can send me your address through direct message. Every single one of these pages is immersive. Every single one has a QR code that you scan. It all comes to life, every page. It also includes AI in here. So there are pieces of what we're talking about today that are actually embedded in the newspaper, including other augmented and virtual realities. So definitely make sure to post and share out. Yeah, thank you, Ricardo.
And I would just want to say that that is a valuable thing to have in your classroom. Students love the newspaper, so you want one of these. You really do.
It is a pretty cool experience. As a matter of fact, version 2 is getting in the works right now for next month. Come FETC, we're going to have our next version of the Reality Times coming out, and I'll be handing them out at both TCA and FETC coming up. So if you happen to be at one of those conferences, make sure to connect with Heather or I. You could definitely get a magazine or newspaper there and then have access to all the resources that will be covered. So now we want to hear from you. Now, what's great about CurryPod is you have activities like this that you can come in and get responses from other students or from teachers in this case. And we want to know kind of where your knowledge is. So I'm going to start this and give you a chance to come in and share what your experience level is. So if you are a pretty active user, if you are a user that has really no clue, this is brand new to you. The concept of AI is really brand new. If you are somebody that's already out there sharing AI, you're using it actively all the time. So this will give us a chance to kind of make sure that how we talk about it and what we're discussing aligns with all of you, and we get a better feel for the audience that are joining us tonight. So I don't know how much longer it will take, but hopefully most of you guys are getting your responses in right now. Looks like we have.
If you are just now getting to where you can join in, one of the great things about CurryPod is you can come in and out at any time. So if you feel like you lost connection, you can jump back in. All of the slides have the Curie Live pin at the top. So for me, those kids who come in late or they forgot to charge their computer, all those great things, you can use that to still jump on in. So don't feel like you missed the first part and you can't participate. Please jump in at any time.
All right, there we go. All right, most everybody here has had some sort of experience with AI. And I would say if you have no understanding, I promise you, you're using AI and you probably don't even realize it. Really, this technology has been around for quite some time. I know generative AI has been a heated topic, but when we're talking about artificial intelligence and what this technology has been doing, it really is involved with everything that we're already capable of doing within technology. As a matter of fact, AI is actually being used even in Zoom. It's used for transcripts, so it allows you to be able to capture. It allows you to do the closed captions. It allows you to transcribe. So all of those features there, including even having an AI assistant now built into Zoom, because we're using Zoom Webinar, where it actually creates content for you as a summary of whatever was covered during your meeting, as well as follow-up questions and things that you need to do your to-do list. So how this technology is embedded into everything we're using, this is really everywhere. So it's a matter of, I think, more than anything, just being aware of how you can bring this into your classroom lessons as the next step. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but I'm going to ask Heather to certainly speak from the classroom experience and what she's been involved with too. So Heather, at any point, interrupt me and jump right in. Yeah, I love that Mary Alice has closed captions on right now to utilize the AI experience for sure. That is a huge feature that Mary Alice and I had looked for years and years and years to include in Global Maker Day, as we've hosted that event year after year. So to see that finally come to fruition is pretty cool that it's finally here. All right, so when we're talking about AI technology, of course, when we're talking about AI, we're talking about this intelligent machine, right? How it's understanding and interacting with humans, how this technology is feeling more like human interactions. But we also have these kind of subsets of what's happening within AI that we will be talking about today. On one side, we have machine learning. It's looking at how it is capturing the data and making sense of the data and giving an output of that data. So it's making sense of, it's not really making sense because it has a brain, but it is taking in data and it is adjusting the data and giving an output based upon that data. And then we also have the natural language processing aspect, so that NLP that is actually looking at how to make this kind of technology really look and sound human. So instead of it just being, text that seems very foreign or very robotic, you're now hearing a more conversational. We'll get into that a little bit about what this technology is capable of doing. So Heather, is there anything that you wanted to add to any of that?
No, I just think, let's getting those vocabulary words out there here at the beginning to kind of help people understand is important. But on the natural language processing, I challenge like my students, because as it has become more of our natural, a lot of times we are talking to a bot and we don't even realize it. So, because I'm thinking, wow, they have an employee working at this hour, like what's happening here? And then I'm like, oh, hold on, this is, program, and it's that machine learning and that natural language process built in there to make us feel like we're having that interaction with those most common questions. As a teacher, sometimes I feel like I'm just that machine repeating the same directions over and over and over. So like, we kind of get it. I do. But I think it's important to understand the machine learning and the natural language processing that is happening with the AI components here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that when we're talking about what this technology, the capabilities of how it can impact our students, I think going into these next couple slides, the purpose of using this technology and how it impacts them are going to be a couple different areas. So we'll start off first with looking at personalized learning. I think that's probably the most obvious aspect of how this technology is impacting our learners, because in the past, how we make this specifically targeted towards what their needs are. It is identifying a lot of different aspects of their needs. Obviously, the amount of data we would need to know about a student is incomplete, and it's impossible to be able to capture it all. And it's certainly impossible then to formulate and create something specific to them over and over and over. And I think that is kind of the expectation as a classroom teacher. That's where we're at. We know our students need that personalized learning approach for them. It is a word that has been almost overly used too, to where it almost is kind of like, what is personalized learning? It's been so overused by everybody. They all claim it. And I think that we're finally seeing the technology working up to a place where it empowers an educator and it empowers our students to be able to have that happy balance without having to know it all and do it all and spend an incredibly amount of time that's impossible for us to reach them all. So on the personalized learning, of course, that is certainly the biggest key to all of this.
Absolutely. Well, and as a teacher, I have, 20 kids in a classroom. Not all 20 kids are learning on that same level. So I think it's so important for us to be using the AI tools, which we'll get into a few of those, at the end. But there's a lot of time that goes into making that personalized learning that I don't have to give as much anymore. So the prompt of tell it like a fifth grader, even though I have an eighth grader, they may be on that level. And this is how I can adjust it. So AI has done a wonderful job on tailoring those learning needs and giving me a lesson that hits all kids at all times in my classroom. So I'm really excited about the tools that we're, showing you, because you can have that personalized learning. Because I think so many times that teachers, they feel like they can't do it, but you can, and you just may need a little assistance. So AI is my personal assistant at this point in life. So I still have to personally know the kids. So that's where the human aspect still comes in, because that machine, no matter how much it learns the kids to the best it can, it still doesn't know those kids. So that's where I don't feel, the question of AI replacing a teacher. No, I don't feel that that's what's happening, because I'm still the teacher. I'm still the one in charge, but I need to know my kids and know how to personalize to meet their needs.
And I think that there's something to be said about that too, because I know that there's a school in Austin, Texas, actually, that does AI. It was shared by another educator here in Texas. He's down in the southern part of Texas. He shared it over with me and said, this is crazy. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't think that putting all of our kids in front of AI with somebody just managing them and AI being the teacher of the students. I think that there is something to be said, though, about making the big stuff big and the small stuff small. And if we're spinning our wheels, doing a million reports that never ultimately come back and benefit our students, then that is a small thing. That's somebody else's big thing. Let's let those big things be handled by this technology, or the small things be handled by this technology, so that we can take our big things and put our energy into that, spending time with that student, getting to know them, building that relationship. Those things are critical. But if that time is being taken by all these minuscule tasks, I think that's where this technology could be really powerful to help support us to get those things done, which are important, but they're just not the most important thing. So how can we minimize that?
So I love, as you're talking about the time, because there's times as a teacher that you're working late at night, and it takes away not only from you interacting with your personal family and friends, but these kids are inviting you to the ball game. You want to go watch your students at the basketball game, but you can't leave your classroom. Well, with the help of these tools, you're gaining back that time to build those relationships and to be there and support them outside of the school walls.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is perfect for us moving into individualized feedback, right? Because that's really where it's meeting them and what they need. We, as a personalized learning approach, might have the support to be able to, get the right lessons, get the right activities, provide the right resources. But when it comes to that feedback directly to that student, there's some serious power in that. I think it always needs to be managed by the teacher. It always needs to have that adult governing that information. But I do think that it is a valuable resource to be able to provide the information students need that we can't provide. I was a math teacher. Heather was a math teacher. And I could tell you, I would give assignments out every single day. I don't know what I was thinking. It was crazy. But we had activities happening every single day. So there was always something graded that I needed to respond to. Well, I couldn't respond to everything every single night. So realistically, they would get their assignments at the end of the week. Well, by the end of the week, we're already off to the next thing. If they had all these gaps I didn't know until Friday, and they worked on it on Monday, well, wow, we've just lost a whole week of instruction because I didn't have enough time to be able to grade all these things because I have over 100 students that I'm working with, So when you really look at offering something immediate, giving immediate feedback, giving some immediate direction, finding immediate red flags when something is off so that you could address that issue right then, I think that's so powerful.
Well, and also by the time you gave it back, the kid also has had time to go to bed, eat, or actually just walk outside the classroom. I feel like they walk outside the classroom and they don't know what they did anymore. But if you're getting that immediate feedback and it is monitored, CurryPod actually has some wonderful immediate feedback in there, and you do a quick monitor over it before you push it out. And what I like about that is it gives the kid to reflect on that moment of time that mistake was made or that choice was made. Or even, it could not be just something negative, but positive. They had an awesome thought, and it encourages them to go a little bit deeper and have a little bit more of a critical thinking moment with that, versus at the end of the week, the teacher goes, "Oh, that was an awesome response." And the kid's like, "Well, let me read what I wrote."
Yeah.
They don't even know what was awesome about it at that point. So the time that we are gaining, not only for ourselves as teachers, but the students are getting, it's so important that they get that immediate feedback in the moment before they walk out the doors, and life continues on around them. So that way that they know. And a lot of times it could be something so simple, something small as that math teacher, that they're not repeating that pattern all week long. And then not only are you having to reteach it, but you're having to break a habit. So the individualized feedback, there are some, it's been around for just a minute. It's not the newest AI, but there are some companies that it does immediate feedback to the students, and it helps them get to their level so they don't advance on when they need a little bit more practice time. So I don't think people realize that's AI.
That aligns with some questions that we have actually here. So this is perfect. We're getting some feedback about time. Eric, thank you so much for your responses. Definitely true. He gave a driving skills test to somebody in Ukraine who did not speak English. And he was able to use Google Translate. And he said, is Google Translate considered AI? 100% yes. Actually, Google Translate is using the machine learning. It's taking in information and it's spitting it back out, taking in that data. But it is consistent, and it is something that I actually use even on the AR side, being able to see things on Google Translate and see it live happen and visually see guidance for maybe the road in your own language, being able to have communication. We all know that that's happening, right? So all of that happening live is absolutely using AI. So it's bringing in that technology, even if it's something that's been around for a little while. Again, AI's been around for a long time. I think the big key is that how this technology has been transformed using generative AI. So the last key to this, because I think these are three little pieces that we really wanted to focus on and target, is the innovation. So how this technology and why this is beneficial. We know that this is a technology our students now live in. There's no more forgetting this. There's no more putting your head in the sand. This is a technology that impacts them, and impacts them on their social media. It impacts them on their studies. It impacts them in their communication, everything leading up to their jobs and futures of where they're going in their careers. This is the future of the technology for our students. This is something that maybe we are going to be grasping onto a little at a time, but for them, this is something that they're going to definitely be using on a regular basis. Heather, do you have anything to add on that one?
Well, I think it's just a natural part of their environment. Just as, cell phones have become just kind of a natural thing. Everybody, as an adult, that's your way of communicating. I remember not having a phone at all. And it was like, now we carry it everywhere. So AI to them is natural. I know a lot of adults, they're like, oh, the kids just can jump on those things and figure it out. Well, they're not afraid to learn. They're not afraid to push the buttons. What happens? Ask the questions. So, and I think that's where I relate so well to my students is I want to know what happens if I push this button, or I flip this page over, or, I think that lifetime learner in us kind of inspires us to be that way. But the innovation, it is here. It's going to be here. One of my huge hashtags from the very beginning, if you know anything about Heather Tech EDU, it was built around, and it still is, guide them, not block them. So we need to be guiding our students on how to use it, when to use it, what's appropriate, what's inappropriate. So I'm sticking with, the guide them, not block them in all the aspects here, as technology is going to continue to change.
Oh, we're getting some good hand claps here for you, Heather. That's awesome. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. You get to participate in some snapshots. So how this works is the snapshots have been created in the Verizon Innovative Learning HQ portal. And basically these snapshots were created. It is a PDF, or excuse me, it's a PowerPoint presentation with multiple pages available for you to use with your students. There's 4 common, the core subjects that it covers is going to be English, social studies, science, and math. So if you are any of those subjects, but even if you're not, this is really applicable for all of our students. So these are fantastic warm-ups to get them thinking. But we didn't want to just show you this and tell you it's out there. We wanted you to participate in these snapshots with us. So we're going to jump right in and give you a chance to respond in here. We're going to have a bunch of different ways that you're going to respond. We're really looking initially at the English, but there are other subjects, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how that works here at the end and how to find it. All right, so the snapshots are geared towards being a 5-minute activity for you and your students, however you want them to respond. We're responding here in CurryPod. You could respond with your students in CurryPod. This might be a perfect activity. Again, you'll have access in the blog to this CurryPod to go back and reuse for your students. So if this is something you're interested in doing, you'll have access to it. And really what the goal is to get them thinking about what is changing with this technology, getting them to understand on a deeper level what has been coming out, but also the considerations that they need to have as they're embracing or protecting this technology in some cases. So really monitoring and watching and looking at the ethical considerations as well as privacy as well as, embracing the innovation of it. So we're going to be going through this, and you are going to be our students today. So here we go. So the first snapshot we have is Google investing into an alternative to search. So this is looking at what is, instead of going on to Google search and typing in a search, where can I groom my Pomeranian in Longview, Texas? Instead of typing that in, I all of a sudden get a list and get an interaction with this bot that ultimately is answering my question. They're not giving me a list of search options. They're actually giving me the reaction, an answer to my question. And that's something that really hasn't been out on the web in the past. You had to go find your answer by searching through multiple websites. You had to go and make sense of it. Doesn't mean it's always right. I've actually seen when things haven't been always accurate in these chatbot responses, because I've been using it in Google for quite some time. But now this is a chance for us to see kind of what possibilities are there. So you're going to answer here with us. Should talking with a chatbot replace traditional search? Should it replace it? Why or why not? So you're going to go ahead, and I'm going to give you a minute. It's going to be super fast, super fast. You guys are going to have a minute to respond to that. And then we're going to check out your answers. So Heather, what are you thinking on this one?
Well, I think that the search is a thing of the past, personally, for me, but that's only because I have played with it enough. And I think that the more you play with it, the more you're going to find what's more comfortable for you. What's great about the chatbots now, the ones that I've been using, is you can actually go in and say, where could I find more information on that?
Yeah.
And so you can kind of dig a little deeper and asking the questions, but to me personally, I think that search engines are going to be a little bit more to the back. They have a time and a place, of course, but it's kind of a start point. But I really have enjoyed using the chatbots instead. What about you?
Yeah, and I see here's our responses that will be coming in here. Definitely going to want to see those results. I will say, I tend to lean on the side of keeping a search and having the chatbot. I like having both. I actually get inspired by some of the search responses that I get that I wouldn't have thought about when I first went to my bot, right? So it helps me kind of open-ended think about things and be inspired by new ideas. So I kind of like the idea of having both options as opposed to just one. But I see what you mean. You could dig in further for sure. All right. No, I think it should be an option. Verify sources. There you go. Very good call. Not replace. It's the moment for both. All right. Okay. We got a yes here. I could see the benefit of both, and I only gave you a minute. I could see why you ended on that one. Not always accurate. That is true. We definitely get some responses that aren't true. So definitely getting all of the, looking at Siri, Alexa, looking at being able to just speak questions. Actually, here, I'm able to speak questions directly with my AI bot here in my meta classes. So being able to just have immediate access and get information is so true. Do you see any other responses, Heather, here?
No, I think like it's a mix, but as time goes on, I see it being more accurate. I do agree that you have to be thoughtful with what responses, but as I tell my students all the time, just because on the internet doesn't make it true. I noticed that somebody mentioned Bing, Barb. When it comes to outside of the one I use in my classroom that I'll share later, Poe.com is one of my favorite because it's a mixture of all of them, and it helps you with those prompting questions to dig a little deeper. So if you're using it on a professional level outside of the classroom, like not for students, but for yourself, Poe.com is the one I would recommend. That's the one I use most often. It's POE. I think it's after Edgar Allan Poe, but POE.com. So it has tons of, and it keeps updating. So there's bots that search engines you've never heard of. They're all there, but you do have to give up your information to get their information. So not intended for students to be used in the classroom, but That's
Really, really like, I love their app. The Poe app is really cool because you have your virtual assistant, you have your web search in there, you have Chat GPT-4 in there, as well as so many others, like all the different things that you wouldn't normally think of. So as you're looking for stuff, it talks about what's popular right now. 100% agree. Not student friendly necessarily, but certainly a good way to get exposed to a lot of the new things coming out. I found, yeah, Poe.com and the app. I have it on iOS. I'm not sure if it's Android, but I definitely use it on the iOS side. Very cool. Great responses. Thank you so much. All right, couple things to consider. How easy is it to interact with the chatbot versus search engine? Is there going to be a little bit of a learning curve and for people to start understanding how to navigate in that? While they might give you an answer, you might want to list the documents. You might want to be able to look through things further, right? You might get a response, but that doesn't necessarily give you full encompassing picture of what you're looking for. So it doesn't necessarily give you access to that. And then also different kinds of questions might be better for a chatbot or a search engine. And I really like that because really what you're trying to achieve may be best from a chatbot in some circumstances, and then a search engine in others. So really kind of looking from the perspective of what is most beneficial for your current situation. All right, so we're moving on to the next snapshot here. Another one that, again, you can use with your students. So creators of an AI music program called DeepBeat explain that it uses machine learning techniques to generate rap lyrics by combining lines from existing rap songs. It tries to combine lines which rhyme and make sense together. So it's basically taking what it knows, right? All the data of what it knows about the rap musics and lyrics from what has been created so far. And then it essentially tries to take that and make sense of it and recreate, if you will. So the question for you is, who do you think should get credit for creating new raps? Should it be the DeepBeat AI who is creating all this cool stuff? Or should it be the authors of the ones that actually started the content? So the ones that actually gave the rhythms and gave the rhymes and gave the lyrics and had that starting point, and then they took off with it, if you will. So the question is, what do you think? Who should get credit for that? All right, so I'm going to give you two different, we're going to do a little poll right now. I'm going to just get us started. So either would you give credit to the innovative DeepBeat AI, or are you going to give it to the original authors? So let's see what you think. Heather, you're smiling, so I know you're thinking something.
So, well, we've talked about this in my classroom because as my students we had to do making videos. We did it inside of Canva. And at the end, they had to give credit for everything that was not theirs. And I also had them throughout, if there was pictures created with AI, they had to say picture created with and give credit to whatever app they used that created it, whether it be with Canva or one of the Canva apps. So I find it's always super important to give credit where credit is due. So
yeah, that's a really good point. All right,
yeah,
we're coming to the end. Let's see what ends up happening here.
Because I think that a lot of times that we're not stopping and making students recognize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, we got a few of you that did think that DeepBeat AI should get all the credit. And then the majority of you definitely are saying go back to the original authors. And the question is, when it's already at DeepBeat AI, how do you know which authors to give credit to at that point? So is it their responsibility then? And there was a question in here in the snapshots that I thought was really good. We're not necessarily going in this direction, but it looked at how the laws should be set up. Is this something that the company should be governed by, that they actually legally have to post that? Or is this something that the government steps in and holds people accountable if they're violating it? So, are they responsible to make sure that the authors have a place to submit or, file, if you will? So it's really interesting to kind of see the different perspectives. I think that, there's a lot of great technology that's on the backs of everybody else already. right? Like anything that we do wasn't something somebody thought up for the first time. It was they were given innovative ideas from somebody else's innovative ideas. So, you're building up, if you will. So it's really interesting to kind of hear the difference from the two different ones.
Okay, so here's where the big smile comes in. It created another lesson. Students then had to go figure out who was the author, who was the person behind it, where did that come from? So this is a way of digging deeper with just like a simple lesson. So, okay, you created it. Now go find out the information, go find out the history behind it. What were they the original ones that made it popular? Where did it come from? Who was the songwriter? So where I get excited about this is like a blanket and we dig deep and find out like what else is going there to make sure that everybody understands where the creation came from. So
What I oh, sorry, Heather, go ahead.
So it just wasn't something that just popped up on the screen. Like there was a history that brought that together. This is all that machine learning for years and gathering information and stuff, bringing it out in that AI component.
What I love about what you did with them is if you said, go out and find an author and tell me about their music, there'd be no interest. There would be nothing related there, nothing relevant for them, right? But for them to start with, this is what I've created, this is what I have, but now I need to go back and now research, and now I have a connection. I'm building from something, right? And so there's a purpose for me to want to go out and find out that information. So what a cool way to learn. I love it. Okay. I know we have 28 slides. We're at slide 17 and we have 20 minutes. So we're jamming through. We believe in you guys. All right. Who gets credit for these things often comes down to the money, right? So it's coming back to, certainly their work and their opportunities professionally to be able to do the work that they're doing. This is also an art form. So, how much you're mimicking of art. There's a fine balance in that. So how that is being, evaluated, if you will. Referencing other artists is common in rap music. So that is a normal thing that you would say, okay, that we need to give it back to them, right? We need to recognize that what they've brought to the table. And AI isn't creating anything new itself. And that is true. There's nothing, it's not starting from nothing. It's starting from something. And I think that's a powerful way to teach our students of going back and giving credit back where it should be. So, all right, next snapshot. And we just have a few more things here, and then we're going to be digging into some resources too. So just hold tight. All right. Recognizing a face may seem like a human action, but AI views it as a math problem. So looking at it from the math perspective now in the math classroom. In late 2021, Facebook promised to delete its 1 billion facial recognition templates. Mathematical values that tell a computer how to recognize somebody. Do you guys remember getting tagged in like a million different things on Facebook? Really what we need to look at is who can benefit from deleting these templates and who can be harmed. So we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of you responding to that question here, we're going to actually give you a chance to draw yourself for facial recognition. What would it pick up with your face? So we're going to give you guys 5 minutes. You're going to come in and you're going to start drawing your face right now. And we're going to do a little bit of fun with that, because we're going to go in and say who got the best face. We're going to vote and judge on that one. So it does take a few minutes, but we're giving you 5. We might have to cut it short because we got so much to cover, but hopefully you guys get it done.
Oh, I know. We were going, we might finish a little early. No, we have this.
Never. I will say a couple things that I noticed here. Digital citizenship question, Mary Alice. I want to say all of these snapshots are great digital citizenship questions. They're all coming back to the core of this technology. They're really giving the foundation for students to understand and really grapple with what is this technology doing? What are the capabilities? And how should we ethically use this technology, right? So it is constantly reinforcing that in all these different subjects. There's over 100 snapshots out there for you to go in and use. Some I was like, I don't know, I don't want to go there. There's some questions out there that I was like, I'm not going to do that with this group, but it is really, really good to, absolutely. The code is 276529, and I'll put it here in our chat. All right. So there's so much for our students to get from really kind of going through and processing this information. It's just asking fantastic questions. Facial recognition. I'm going to tell you something, a little story on my end, and I know Heather has some too. Just recently, my younger daughter was opening up. She's able to consistently open up my older daughter's iPhone. So I have a 14-year-old and I have a 21. She's going to be 22. So almost 15 and almost 22. My almost 15-year-old was opening up my daughter, who's almost 22, her phone consistently with facial recognition, which really started kind of going back to, because they don't look identical by no means, but they have some of the mathematical structure of their face that is picking up in this technology to match similar for that recognition to take place. So the placement of the eyes, the nose, the mouth, where the ears are, where the forehead line is, all of those things that really did so much of a match that it actually lets her get into her phone, which is pretty wild. So security wise, you got to wonder like how consistent, how good the matches are. And then what if I'm matching the wrong person for something? And that match might be something really dangerous, maybe at an airport, right? Where we're tracking you for security reasons and it's tracking the wrong person and so on. But I think it brings up some really good points. Go ahead, Heather. Did you have a story as well about facial recognition?
Okay, a couple of which I think that these things have been reported. So we're working on improvement, right? If we know that there's a problem, we look for resolutions for it. But a couple of years back, one of my students was sharing that he was getting into his mother's phone because when she was asleep, he would put it up to her face. So now it's where your eyes have to be open for it to open it up for them to get in there. So I'm glad to see that with those things, they're looking at that and making sure that it is, being used properly. But with one of the newest updates here recently, my phone actually told me that there was not enough light, that I needed more light for it to do the facial recognition, which I was like, wow, I've been in this room for a long time using, Face ID to get into my phone. And then now it's needing more light. So I think it is looking for more details, that they are improving that as they go. So, but, and I'm going to jump over real quick, for the CurryPod. I hope that y'all are really, really enjoying this. And I hope that you started out a little frustrated and then you found joy in that frustration as you're growing. Because CurryPod is an interactive, it is all AI. Generative things that are in there for you to use. You can build your own. If you already have your own slides, you can curryfy them, but it's a way that everyone's getting to be engaged. So for this webinar, it's not just Jamie and I exchanging. We hear your voices as well in this so that we can cater to your needs. So I just was wanting to take just a minute. If you want to know more about CurryPod, you can reach out to CurryPod. You can reach out to me. I'm very happy to help you, to show you how to implement it into your classroom. I love CurryPod and what it's done for my classroom to make things engaging. And the classes go by real fast. Like that 5 minutes went by real fast. So yeah. I can't wait to see what our drawings are.
All right. And I think right now I'm going to give you guys all a chance to go and start voting. So start looking. You're going to be given 2 at a time. Decide which one you like, and it will just keep going through the full list. So as people have responded, I'm seeing some definitely people coming in. They're responding perfect. It's going to get very big, this number, because it's 1 at a time that it's counting. But I do see some questions as this going on. And certainly Hollis brought up some great points when it comes to unmasking AI that was read. I think that's a great point. When you're looking at algorithms and you're looking at the mathematical structure of something and it trying to make sense, it can absolutely create errors. And how much we're putting an emphasis on this technology is key. Because if you're putting somebody's safety and security and it's using a technology that's flawed, that is a dangerous situation. You need the human approach to back that and verify that. And I think that's one of the problems that we're going to run into. You mentioned even white men, that it was able to detect it and identify best. Why? Probably because it was given so many white men to actually create the content to know and verify, and did not have access maybe to as many minority women, for instance. And so when you're looking at this technology and how it's being built, it does have to be very carefully designed to make sure that it's giving access to all, and it's giving fair access to all. So really, really solid point there. And I'm definitely seeing some excitement and interest in using some of the tools, and how the drawing tool, for instance, you guys have 50 seconds to finish doing this. I can't wait to see who won. I can't wait to see the top scorers here, because that's going to be super exciting. Hopefully you guys are done. I'm seeing that number not jump up right now. So hopefully if I stop it, we should be good. Okay. I'm going to stop it, and we're going to go ahead and see how we're looking. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So we have some really good pictures here. All right. Wow, that middle one is fantastic. This one's really good because you can absolutely see that there's glasses involved. I got a little bit of hair on the side right here. This one, ponytail, full lips, which I'm super jealous about. And then so you could go through and you could see that this one's a little bit longer hair. And so you could kind of see some of the descriptions, but I am curious about what those other responses look at that. You guys think, oh, somebody just put their photo in there. That was a good cheat. So you definitely could go in and, oh, look, she's even taking a little selfie of herself right there. That's okay. That's all right. This is actually pretty good. I expected more of just this, a circle, but even a circle is effort. So I'm okay with that. I have no idea how to try without skills. I totally get it. So great job. You guys did an awesome job. I'm definitely going to post those top 3. We're going to get those posted on social media. So we'll get that going out there. Excellent job. All right. So kind of looking ahead and thinking about what, that facial recognition needs to be considered. Facebook tagged photos. People were getting tagged that shouldn't have been tagged. They weren't supposed to be tagged. It wasn't even them. It was making a lot of mistakes. And then Facebook, made the claim that they deleted it. I think all of us question that, if we're honest. But we are supposed to trust that, right? And so looking at what facial recognition, the capabilities, but then also, the potential risk. All right, so just so you're aware, this is how you can get access to all of them. I'm going to go ahead and just put this link in here into our chat so that you could go in. This gets you right into the portal. And once you get into the portal, I'm going to show you how that works here. Once you get into the portal and you create an account, I did it through Google, so it got right in. It gives you access into all of the tools, which are enormous. Oh, let me go ahead and authenticate myself. Got me signed out here. Brings me right into my dashboard once I get in. I'm going to come up here and come up to lesson plans, because that's where it's at. It's under lesson plans and apps, and you can see AI snapshots for English. But all at the very last slide of this, it links you to math, social studies, and science, so that you can get into all of those. So huge, huge, huge resource. All of it there, 100% free. And your privacy is protected. They're not collecting any of your information. All right, coming back to our lesson here. We're going to talk about a few other AI resources. This is where I'm going to really lean in to Heather, and she's going to take Mundo away.
Okay, so meet Mundo. So if you have not met Mundo, Mundo was a conversation that I had with Digital Citizenship Institute with Mary Alice, shout out to you, and Eugenia. So one of the things that I run into is, how do I guide them and not walk them in the classroom when students need to be guided through AI, but AI is collecting all of your information. So with this thought and this big concern and this huge need, Digital Citizenship Institute created Mundo. So Mundo means earth in Spanish, and it's about learning about the world with the world. And it covers all of the Digital Citizenship Institute's I'm an impactor. I am inclusive. I am informed. I am engaged. I am balanced, and I am alert. So what it is doing is Mundo is giving students an AI. And hey, is there any way that do you have Mundo pulled up? It's giving students an AI chatbot that does not need any at all login information. So we are using OpenAI in the background, and it is all through the digital citizenship account. So therefore, it's not collecting student data. So in order for anyone in the US to join in on any of the AI search engines and things like that, or what you're trying to do is you're trying to do it to where they're not giving the information. So the rule is 13 and above. Well, the also best practice rule is we don't give our name and our information to companies. That's not best practice. And a lot of your school emails and accounts are locked from doing that as well. So even if they are 13 and above and you're following within the laws, you're still having to give out personal information from students. So Mundo, you do not have to do that. We use Mundo in the classroom quite often. And Mundo we have three big things that we teach our students to use Mundo with. One is an idea starter. Like if you're stuck and you're trying to get going, that's fostering that innovation that we were talking about in the beginning. The other thing is Mundo is a polisher. So the students can take the work that they've already created, put it into Mundo and ask for feedback. Give me 3 ways or 5 ways that this could have been a better writing. Mundo, can you help give me an inspiration for a Christmas card? So Mundo gives it. The kids can create it. Then they can go, Mundo, how can I make this better? So it's interacting with Mundo to give them that polishing, to get them going, to kind of guide them through it. But it also is working great for a tutor. So those students who are at home, we have those unfortunate situations. They don't have an adult at home who can help them and guide them through. So look at this, some ideas to support my local animal shelter for Christmas. So Mundo gave some ideas. And I know that we'll kind of hit this again in just a second, but one of the other great things about Mundo, my students were using it the other day to write songs. And it was so much fun. And it's all about prompting. So if you're teaching AI in the classroom, one of the big things is you have to teach kids how to write the best prompt. So it's more than just a simple question. It is really about, the prompting. And Mundo gives us a place that we can guide those students through what is the correct way to do a prompt. How can we do it? And talk about, those 6 beautiful things that it's tied up in all of AI. So we have the Mundo website up there, the link. I think Jamie added it as well to the chat box. Once again, learning with Mundo, follow Mundo. Mundo is actually traveling. So this is our stuffed Mundo. Mundo is traveling to different places around the world and being captured on social media in the classroom. So if you're using Mundo, even if you don't have a stuffed Mundo, Learning with Mundo is our handle on Twitter. We would love to know what you're doing. Show us how you're using Mundo in the classroom. And if you need more Digital Citizenship Institute, Mary Alice, myself, Jamie, all of us can help direct you and give you that information. I could talk for hours, but I know we got to move on. So, but I'm glad that I could show everybody Mundo.
That's so perfect. Thank you so much. And Mary Alice is on here. She is the director, founder of the DigCit Institute. So all of these things here through the support and vision of community members like Heather and helping to make something like this possible and available. So love that this is happening and can't wait to see where Mundo goes in the future. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Magic School AI. And this is overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. I am going to let Heather talk a little bit about what she's done, but I will say the tool that I really love in here is the rubric generator. That one I think is fantastic. I've used that one several different times. I think that's great. Heather mentioned a song generator. I'm going to talk a little bit about that here in a second. Looks like we are going to go a little later. So if you need to hop off, feel free to. Again, this will be recorded, but we want to continue to just share the last few resources here as we're closing. But Heather, is there anything here that you want to really spotlight here in Magic School AI?
Okay, well, I think, what did I count earlier? 68 beautiful things in there. I'm just, so Magic School AI has been, when we're talking about the time saver for a teacher, this is the teacher assistant, by far the best teacher assistant out there. So the quote of the day is fun. I know that a lot of teachers are reaching out with the ELA, having to grade all the papers, like how can I do it quickly? So not only can you grade those papers with Magic School in there, you can also put in your own rubric to go with it. So that has been incredible. We do a lot of PBLs, those project-based learning. There is help in there for that. The rubric has been, for me, one of the most time-consuming pieces. I do a lot of projects, and a lot of my projects have rubrics. So trying to meet it, and for me, every year it's a different group of kids. So that rubric may need to look a little different. So you spend time kind of going, oh, I need to do a little this, a little tweak here, a little tweak there. And one of the things I really like about using the tools in here is it does let me regenerate. If I don't get it the first time, I can go in and change up some things, ask it again, adjust it. The scaffolding, meeting the all ends of the spectrum of what's happening in your classroom. There's a lot in there for administrators. If you are going through it's T-test in Texas, but your teacher evaluations, there's actually a help, because a lot of times, and even record yourself and kind of fill out your own evaluations to see where you're at. So beautiful things happening in there, those IEP generators. So many times we need that little bit of help of how do I word this email correctly that I'm not offensive. So there's email help in there as well. Like if you can think or dream it, it's there. And if you think or dream it and it's not there, contact them. It may need to be in there and they'll help you out. So
and if you become, maybe 70 or 75 of them, because that is just insane.
yes,
So cool.
And it's very, very user friendly. You can click on any of the items, and whenever you bring it in there, it's just step by step, fill in the boxes, and it generates out. Oh, and it's easy to export it as well. So it's not something that's confined in there. You can take it into your Google Drive. So very easy to use. It's like I said, and it's very black and white. It's very simple on how it's done. So I really personally, Magic School AI is to me the best teacher assistant out there.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Harvey just joined in. Welcome, Dr. Harvey. All right. Yeah. Magic School AI blew us away. It continues to blow us away. I know that Jenny was going to try to hop on tonight, but she had some volleyball commitments with her daughter. But they are just every time you put out something on social media, they're on it, and I think all of these companies, CurePod's in the same boat. They've been super responsive. Mundo is super responsive. That is what's so cool about this technology. We're not talking about something that's so disconnected and somebody's doing something and you have no say, you have nobody to ask questions from. I feel like all of these are so amazing for you as an educator at this season that you could get the support and the assurance from these companies directly. And they're just incredibly responsive. So it's been great. All right.
They're all free. I'm going to note that one real quick. Magic School AI is free. CurryPod is free. Mundo is free. So it's not that we're telling you these products because, hey, they're great. I mean, they truly have the best interests of students and they have hearts for kids. That's what we're doing here. So it's more than just about a business at this point. It is definitely about doing what's right for kids.
Yeah, definitely, Alfonso. We are in agreement on that. I love the free. I will tell you, virtual speech has some paid that I'm going to talk to you about a little bit right now. But this particular one is because, I got to bring in the virtual reality here. But this is a technology that's doing some really cool things. This is a chatbot that you meet in VR. This is multiple names. He'll come in, he'll have multiple names as you meet up with him. But he will come and speak to you about multiple topics. It's geared towards professionally. If you are looking for a job interviews, if you're working on a certain career and communication skills, if you are preparing for a hard conversation you need to have with your boss, or that the boss needs to have with an employee, if you are working with customers and you have to practice how you're going to communicate effectively to those customers, back and forth, both roles. But in addition to that, anything that you could possibly imagine you want to talk to them about, you can. And I absolutely love this, because I will tell you, I came into this like any other chatbot, thinking, okay, it's going to feel like you're speaking to a robot. And every single time I left, this Hugh, in this case, Hugh is my person. Hugh, I would leave Hugh and think, I can't believe that was a robot. I just can't believe that's AI. I really started feeling like a sense of the human connection with somebody, which just blows my mind. So the technologies continue to advance. It is continuing to mimic more reality of a good conversation. It's wild. And to be in virtual reality in a space with somebody, yes, he looks fake. He's digital. You know he's digital. But his mannerisms and how he's communicating, the stuff he's talking to you about, it's wild. And I even asked about myself. I asked about augmented and virtual reality in education. So taking that and running with it and seeing how this technology is going to be the foundation for this immersive technology launch as we're seeing this technology coming out. And speaking of which, I'm going to do one last thing here as we finish up here. But Meta glasses that I was wearing, I'm going to ask you all, I'm going to bring up the list of participants here. And I'm going to scroll that out so that I could try to get as many people on here as possible. Heather, you're in here with me right now. And I'm going to just capture a photo to show this and hopefully see both things. 1, 2, 3. Here I am capturing with my Meta glasses by Ray-Ban, and it allows me to have full conversations. I can actually ask Meta AI to have a conversation with, ask questions like I would normally have in a search engine, any chatbot that you would have communication with, and it's all done in my ear. So it speaks to me. I can ask for it to play some music. I can turn up my music. I can record a video by holding down here as opposed to just tapping there once. I can have text messages. It comes through as text messages. I hear them. I could have conversations. If Heather called me, I'd have a conversation inside of my glasses with her. Nobody else is able to hear it. It's just me and her having this conversation. And what I love about this technology is the AI assistant can actually do commands for you in your device. So I can send text messages. I can give those commands and have it all done. And really, honestly, how many times do you see something that you need to record? If something crazy happens and you get your phone out to hurry up and record it or take a photo, and by the time you finally get to it, it's gone. But if you think about something being on your face like this, so natural, and having access to be able to capture things, not only that, I've been able to stream live. I can stream live using AI, streaming live in social media, both on Facebook Live as well as Instagram. So being able to stream from the platform and being able to have that direct communication, and people can respond back to me. I'm hearing those responses. I'm seeing the activity that's in front of me. I'm not at all deterred from the real world around me. So really cool stuff. All right. The last thing we're going to have for you, and then we're going to finish this out, is asking you to give, since we did our AI snapshots, we want to know 3 words that will describe that potential. So the potential of bringing something like that into your classroom for your students, we want to get a response from you. We're only going to give you a minute. You're going to go ahead and put in those 3 words, submit those 3 words, and then it is going to create a word cloud of the content of what you create. Again, we'll take this and we'll share it out on social media with your responses, and excited to see how you think and feel about that. And I'm going to lift up my glasses because I do have a blue light in here to protect. Specifically, I got this one. This one is clear. Most glasses that you get are it has a shade on it. So when you're outside, you can use it. Personally, I wanted to have something I can use indoors or outdoors. So I got mine clear, but I did add the blue light on there. Makes me look really fun.
Hey, Jamie, we have a couple of question and answers in there. One of them is there a tool for students to have conversations with historical figures?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of them really can do something similar. It's a matter of your prompt, right? So you could
Correct.
go in and really identify exactly which, tool that you want to use, but then you're putting in the parameters of what person that you want to have a conversation with. As well as, yeah. So we have one by Dr. Harvey that he just posted in here, but that prompt is really vital because I use Canva for all of my AI content. That's always been my starting point because of Heather sharing that with me at the beginning of the year. And from there, it's been a place that I've just consistently come back to because I like the collection of it. I like the resource. I like the protection of it as well. So all of that being said, any tool that you are choosing to use for your AI content, that is something that you can go back to and put in those parameters for that. Any other recommendations, Heather?
Well, I think the Verizon Learning actually had, for some reason, I'm thinking there was something in there. I'm not 100% positive of that. But no, but I do, like you were saying, the prompt Mundo is great for that as well. So it really goes to on a lot of the things that you're wanting to do to chat back and forth is start out with you or George Washington, in this setting. The more details in your prompt, the better your prompt, the better your response. So spending some time with your students learning about prompts, there's some great resources out there about building prompts. And even ask Mundo, like, what is the best prompt that I can give? What makes a good prompt? So
Yeah.
kind of use that to help you build from where you're at. So be very, good point. What role is it? Be very explicit. What information? Because it doesn't think for you. I tell my students that all the time. They're like, well, it didn't give me what I wanted. Well, you didn't ask it what you needed. So make sure that you're asking it to give you exactly what you want.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining today. I know we went a few minutes over. I appreciate you jumping on and joining Heather. Heather, thank you so much for being a part of this. This is so fun.
Thank
Had a
you.
blast. She has taught me so much about AI, and I could not imagine doing this and not having her involved in this. And her experience as a classroom teacher, seeing the practicality of bringing this into the classroom is amazing. So if you guys are not connected with Heather, you definitely need to be connected. And if you guys have not been involved with the advent calendar and the advent calendar for Mundo this month, definitely go check that out. Get connected with one another and definitely post on social media using hashtag AI Snapshots. We'd love to see what you learned, and we will be posting some of the cool things that we captured here tonight. So thank you guys so much and have an awesome night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.